Yeah, if I had to choose my all-time favorite boxer, it would either be Roy Jones Jr. or Mike Tyson. Those are my two all-time favorite boxers.
Tyson's knockout sizzle is fucking phenomenal, but Roy Jones Jr. fighting.
Well, both of them were just fucking incredible in a different way. I mean, Tyson was incredible in like a violent storm, and Roy Jones Jr. was just a virtuoso who could do shit that nobody else could do and reinvented how to engage. Roy Jones Jr., you know, barely threw jabs. Roy Jones would throw a lead left hook that was as fast as anybody else's jab, and he would crack dudes with that shit off the back leg, and he would hit dudes, and you would see their reaction to the speed of Roy's punches, and they'd be like, oh my God, when they realized what a different level he was on. Like, one of my favorite Roy Jones Jr. fights was Roy Jones Jr. versus Vinny Pazienza. Because Vinny Pazienza, yeah, he was going way up in his weight class. I mean, Vinny was a much smaller guy, and he's, you know, he got real big and juiced up, and he was, you know, he was tough as shit, but he was just too short. It wasn't built for the weight class.
Vinny Paz came out.
Vinny Paz fought Roy Jones, and it was the only round ever where the CompuBox numbers showed the opponent landing 0 punches. 0. Roy just lit him up like a Christmas tree and did whatever he wanted, to the point where Vinny couldn't land a single punch. It had never been recorded before. I don't know if it has since, but that's how good Roy Jones was at the time. And Roy Jones was beating his ass. He knocked him down, and he turned to the referee saying, please stop this. And the referee said, nope, keep fighting. He said, all right. So he dove in with an uppercut, cracked him, like lifted him up in the air, and planted him on the ground.
Holy shit.
He was a fucking, when he was at his prime, dude, he was a marvel of movement. Like, he had a level of movement to him. Like, you can say that Bernard Hopkins might have been more fundamentally sound, or Julio Cesar Chavez might have had like a more gritty in-your-face game, because Roy would kind of hang on the outside and pick his shots and decide what he wanted to do when he wanted to do it. But when it comes to like movement, the best ever. Nobody moved like that guy. Nobody moved like that guy. Roy Jones Jr., there's a video of him. This guy throws a punch, and he counters with a right-left, like a straight right, and it was a left hook and a right hand, like, bap, and he counters with it so fast, like, you can't even believe it's real. And it's just like one of those little quick Vine clips, and you just watch him go, bap, and the guy's, like, central nervous system just shut off. There was a time for a few years where he was just unstoppable force.
I missed it. I missed it in life.
I was there, man. I was there. I was watching the whole time. I couldn't believe it. He was so much better than everybody else at the time. So much faster. Like, it was ridiculous. When he fought James Toney, dude, he fought James Toney, the assassin. He fought the killer from Detroit. He fought James Toney, who was just a slick boxer with nasty knockout powers, tough as shit. And Roy Jones Jr. just showed him another level of movement, just another level, you know?
Yeah.
Dropped his hands, and then Tony dropped his hands, like, in response, like, and then Roy leaps in with a left hook, cracks him right in the chin, and drops him. And it was like, Wah! Just like, don't fucking do what I'm doing, bitch. Like, he was just on such a different level.
How's Roy Jones Jr.? It's funny that I say that so drunk
better
right
than
now.
You.
Better.
No, I was gonna say.
Way better than you.
I was gonna. Oh, fuck it.
Look at this. Look how good. Look at this. Is him and Vinny Pazienza, man.
Yes,
this was
fourth round where he gets that 0.
Yeah, this is the 4th round.
There's Glass Joe.
And Vinny Pazienza was a tough guy. He knocked out my friend Dana Rosenblatt, who was a guy that I used to train with back in the day in Boston under Joe Lake. Was a boxing coach that I knew from back then. So I was a big fan of Vinny Pazienza. He's tough as shit, but he was really like way out of his weight class. Roy was so much bigger than him, so that Vinny, even though he was a big guy because he had all that muscle on him, his actual frame was nowhere near the frame of Roy's. You know, he was more like a guy. He fought a lot of like really tough guys at lower weight class too, but you look at him there, he looks almost like a bodybuilder.
He does. Vinny Paz and his training partner came out to a show that I did in New Jersey.
Mr. Sandman.
I want to say that's right.
Dude, it's crazy watching this. You forget how fast Roy was. There's just no one like him at the time, man. And you know, one of the things that really messed with Roy, was that when Roy Nelson was in his prime, there was a guy named Gerald McClellan, and Gerald McClellan was, I want to say he was a light heavyweight champion.
Gerald McClellan. How do I know that name?
Gerald McClellan was a famous boxer who was a world champion. I want to say light heavyweight, but I might be incorrect. And Gerald was one of the guys from the Kronk Gym under Emmanuel Stewart.
Okay.
And he was just murking people, man. He was nasty. He was so good. And he fought this dude named Nigel Benn. They fought in Italy, or in England, rather. And it was this wild, I believe it was England, wild, crazy-ass fight. And Nigel Benn went through the ropes in the first round, and Gerald McClellan was just putting it on him. And then later in the fight, something happened. There was like a clash of heads, and Nigel Benn went, and then Gerald McClellan went down to one knee, and then he quit the fight. And they were like, "We can't believe this. The fight's over." And then he collapsed in his corner, and he had some serious brain bleeding, man. And went to the hospital, and they did their best to alleviate it. But to this day, he's blind. He can't walk. He's in a wheelchair. He's all fucked up. He has a very, very short memory of life, you know, of who he was, and his capacity's been like radically diminished. But he was the guy that people were saying one day Roy Jones Jr. and Gerald McClellan are going to fight, and it's going to be crazy because Gerald was a monster. Yeah. Gerald was a monster, and now, you know, that Gerald got fucked up, I think it affected Roy Jones. I think it affected him, like psychologically, where he realized, like, hey, that could happen to that guy, that could happen to me too, you know. And so he fought a lot more smart, took less risks, you know.
But how many concussions? Like I don't know, I said this before. How many concussions do you think is too many?
It's a good question.
7.
Because I definitely have had 7.
It's
I think any grown man has to at least have 5.
By the time you're 18,
I definitely had at least 5 by the time I was 18.
I think I gave one to myself the other day. I like bent down. I told you about this. Like I bent down and I had like a sleigh bed thing, like a wooden thing. Just cracked my head really hard on the corner, like picking up a shoe. Like, and I saw the flash of light. I just laid down. I'm like, all right, I'm not passing out. I'm not passing out.
Yeah, you probably gave yourself a concussion.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, you'd have to talk to a
how many have you had?
neuroscientist. I don't know.
If you had to ballpark it, I'll ballpark mine at.
I've had a couple for sure.
Oh, I've definitely had a couple, but like I think everyone's had I mean, like I've had a couple go to the hospital. Couple.
Yeah.
I've had 2 definitive ones where I had to go to a hospital for them.
See, the problem with sparring all the time is you get them and you don't know if you got them or not because you're not going to a doctor. So there was nights where I would just lay in bed, my head would be throbbing, you know, and I'd just me and some other meathead had beaten the fuck out of each other in the gym, just doing boxing sparring or kickboxing sparring. Yeah, there had to be a bunch. There had to be like 3 or 4 in there.
Do you have a hard time with memory?
No, my memory's excellent.
Yeah.
It's only excellent about things I care about, though. But that's just my mind. I just don't. When I don't give a fuck about something, like it's gone. I just don't. I have developed this over the years. It's just my style of focusing on things. If I don't give a fuck about something, I don't pay any attention to it. I just can't, because I know how my brain works.
Yeah.
So what I know about, and what I don't give a fuck about, like what was it? I don't remember. I just don't remember things. I remember things that are super important, though.
But it's never like, I don't give a fuck where my car is. Oh, wait, where the fuck's my car?
No.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I feel like I definitely feel like I might be on the upside of concussions. But
Or
the upside?
blacking out.
What do you mean by the upside?
like, meaning I'm on the higher end of the spectrum.
If you're not experiencing any problems, I wouldn't worry about it. I think experiencing problems would be pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Once you start having, like, real problems, like memory problems, or if you heard of the guy who was the quarterback for the Chicago Bears.
Jim McMahon.
Yeah.
Jim Perry.
Was that the test, if I could remember his name?
I was trying to remember his name as I was saying it. But he was the the star of the Super Bowl. That guy was an animal. And now he's all fucked up. There's a Sports Illustrated article I read about him. And they're talking about he would just, like, forget what he was doing. He'd be in the middle of his house and just not know why he's there or where he's going. He might have his keys in his hand, not know where he was headed to. And he knows he's got something going on. And
Brett Favre's got that shit coming down the line.
100%, man. They all have it. You're in there in the arena, you're clashing heads, and they came up old school. Those guys came up before they really understood CTE.
They came
way
up
they
as in,
understand
like,
it now.
if you're not a hard-nosed quarterback,
Yeah.
then you're not shit. What are you going to be, fucking Joe Montana? You're going to be earn your money because you live in Milwaukee.
It's fucking hard sport, dude. There's no way around that sport being hard. You get the biggest super athletes in the world, and they're sprinting your way. Sprinting. Some of those guys are bigger and stronger and faster than humans have ever been. Ever. And they're trying to get you because you got that ball.
Dude, I couldn't even jump onto my side right now and not get hurt.
Oh my God.
Like, if they said, just jump on your side, hold a football and jump on your side, I've broken a rib diving for something and landed on my arm wrong.
In a lot of ways, you got to think that, like, playing football is one of the most courageous sports. Because at least in a fight, you only have one dude. And if you're better than that guy, you can control the action. If you understand what's going on, you can control it to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Like Bernard Hopkins is still fighting into his 50s, right? He's 50 now. He's still fighting. He's still like at a world-class level. You know, he beat some guy when he was 49 for a title. I mean, this is insane, right?
Yeah.
Why does he do that? He does it because he can control the action. He controls it. Like, he makes sure that he's in the right position at all times. He's constantly controlling exactly what's going on.
Bernard Hopkins is the only black guy my wife's ever wanted to fuck.
Oh, what
Jesus
the
Christ. Can't
All right,
believe you
let's
let
wrap
that
it up,
out.
everybody. I'm at the Irma
How'd you
Improv
find
this
out about
weekend.
it? Did she write it down?
No, we were sitting on the couch.
Whoa. Did you
I know
get hard?
No, it's just an interesting guy. Out of all the guys that she could have named, it was Bernard Hopkins.
Wow.
Did you get hard when you thought about it?
No,
No.
not at all. Give me a Drake.
Give me a drink.
What if she went Lenny Kravitz? Would that be intimidating?
I saw his dick. I can beat it.
That's what... Oh my God.
Especially with some zinc.
Yeah, with Lenny with those pants, like, that was
Dick
ridiculous.
looked unimpressive.
Well, what's hilarious about it was, like, it almost seemed like a CGI dick.
Yeah.
Like, he came out so perfectly. It didn't kind of like half tuck. No, it went hello.
Like a
It just-
1950s tattoo of a dick.
It just exactly. It just jumped out of nowhere. I mean, his pants ripped and his dick went, "How are ya?"
I'm not saying that mine would be better unprepared. Like, I need to prepare mine to present it. But fucking, I saw
Right.
his dick. I was like, I could beat that.
Yeah, it seemed like it was like a dick radar in some ways. Like on Facebook, like all the guys going, "Oh, whatever, man. He's got a huge dick," and you're like, "Oh, now we know what your dick size is." That's
It's a
above
justice
or below.
warrior.